My habit of being silent when displeased, or more exactly, the cold and scaly quality of my displeased silence, used to frighten Valeria out of her wits. She used to whimper and wail, saying, "Ce qui me rend folle, c'est que je ne sais à quoi tu penses quand tu es comme ça." I tried being silent with Charlotte, and she just chirped on, or chucked my silence under the chin, an astonishing woman. I would retire to my former room, now a regular studio, mumbling I had after all a learned opus to write, and cheerfully Charlotte went on beautifying the home, warbling on the telephone and writing letters. From my window, through the lacquered shiver of poplar leaves, I could see her crossing the street and contentedly mailing her letter to Miss Phelan's sister. The week of scattered showers and shadows which elapsed after our last visit to the motionless sands of Hourglass Lake was one of the gloomiest I can recall. Then came 2 or 3 dim rays of hope, before the ultimate sunburst. It occurred to me that I had a fine brain in beautiful working order, and that I might as well use it. If I dared not meddle with my wife's plans for her daughter, getting warmer and browner every day in the fair weather of hopeless distance, I could surely devise some general means to assert myself in a general way that might be later directed toward a particular occasion. One evening, Charlotte herself provided me with an opening. "I have a surprise for you," she said, looking at me with fond eyes over a spoonful of soup. "In the fall, we two are going to England." I swallowed my spoonful, wiped my lips with pink paper, oh, the rich cool linens of Mirana Hotel, and said, "I have a surprise for you, my dear. We two are not going to England." "Why, what's the matter?" she said, looking with more surprise than I had counted upon, at my hands. I was involuntarily folding and tearing and crushing and tearing again the innocent pink napkin. My smiling face set her somewhat at ease, however. "The matter is quite simple," I replied. "Even in the most harmonious of households, as ours is, not all decisions are taken by the female partner. There are certain things that the husband is there to decide. I can well imagine the thrill that you, a healthy American girl, must experience at crossing the Atlantic on the same ocean liner with Lady Bumble, or Sam Bumble, the frozen meat king, or a Hollywood harlot. And I doubt not that you and I would make a pretty ad for the travelling agency when portrayed looking, you frankly starry-eyed, I controlling my envious admiration, at the Palace Sentries, or Scarlet Guards, or Beaver Eaters, or whatever they're called. But I happen to be allergic to Europe, including merry old England. As you well know, I have nothing but very sad associations with the old and rotting world. No coloured ads in your magazines will change the situation." "My darling," said Charlotte, "No, wait a minute. The present matter is only incidental. I am concerned with a general trend. When you wanted me to spend my afternoons sunbathing on the lake instead of doing my work, I gladly gave in and became a bronzed glamour boy for your sake, instead of remaining a scholar and, well, an educator. When you lead me to bridge and bourbon with the charming Farlows, I meekly follow. No, please wait. When you decorate your home, I do not interfere with your schemes. When you decide all kinds of matters, I may be in complete or in partial, let us say, disagreement, but I say nothing. I ignore the particular. I cannot ignore the general. I love being bossed by you, but every game has its rules. Now, I'm not cross. I am not cross at all. Now, don't do that. But I am one half of this household, and I have a small but distinct voice." She had come to my side and had fallen on her knees and was slowly but very vehemently shaking her head and clawing at my trousers. She said she had never realized. She said I was her ruler and her god. She said Louise had gone and let us make love right away. She said I must forgive her or she would die. This little incident filled me with considerable elation. I told her quietly that it was a matter not of asking forgiveness but of changing one's ways, and I resolved to press my advantage and spend a good deal of time, aloof and moody, working at my book, or at least pretending to work. The studio bed in my former room had long been converted into the sofa it had always been at heart, and Charlotte had warned me since the very beginning of our cohabitation that gradually the room would be turned into a regular writer's den. A couple of days after the British incident, I was sitting in a new and very comfortable easy-chair with a large volume in my lap, when Charlotte rapped with her ring finger and sauntered in. How different were her movements from those of my Lolita, when she used to visit me in her dear dirty blue jeans, smelling of orchards and nymphet land, awkward and fey, and dimly depraved, the lower buttons of her shirt unfastened. Let me tell you, however, something. Behind the brashness of Little Hayes and the poise of Big Hayes, a trickle of shy life ran that tasted the same, that murmured the same. A great French doctor once told my father that in near relatives the faintest gastric gurgle has the same voice. So Charlotte sauntered in. She felt all was not well between us. I had pretended to fall asleep the night before, and the night before that, as soon as we had gone to bed, and had risen at dawn. Tenderly she inquired if she were not interrupting. Not at the moment, I said, turning volume C of the Girl's Encyclopedia around to examine a picture-printed bottom edge, as printers say. Charlotte went up to a little table of imitation mahogany with a drawer. She put her hand upon it. The little table was ugly, no doubt, but it had done nothing to her. "I have always wanted to ask you," she said, businesslike, not coquettish, "why is this thing locked up? Do you want it in this room? It's so abominably uncouth." "Leave it alone," I said. I was camping in Scandinavia. "Is there a key hidden?" "Oh, hum, locked up love letters." She gave me one of those wounded doe looks that irritated me so much, and then, not quite knowing if I was serious or how to keep up the conversation, stood for several slow pages, campus, Canada, candid camera, candy, peering at the window pane rather than through it, drumming upon it with sharp almond and rose fingernails.